My grandmother had always been the quiet force in my life, while everyone else in the family spoke loudly, argued constantly, and measured love by control. She listened. She watched. She noticed things no one else bothered to see. When I was a child, she was the one who slipped a book into my hands when the house felt too loud, who pressed a few folded bills into my palm and told me not to tell anyone, who reminded me in her soft voice that my life was my own, even if others tried to claim it. So when she called me into her room one afternoon and told me she had something important to give me, I expected words, not numbers that made my breath catch in my throat. She told me she had set aside $100,000 for me, not as a loan, not as an investment for the family. For me, she said she wanted me to have a future that didn't depend on anyone else's permission. A home of my own someday. Education. Travel. Freedom. She said she had watched how I always stepped back, how I gave in, how I made myself smaller so others could take more. And she didn't want that to be the rest of my life. I cried in her room, holding her hand, overwhelmed by gratitude and a sense of being truly seen for the first time. I didn't tell anyone at first. I wanted to keep that moment pure. But secrets don't last long in families like mine. My parents found out within days, and the happiness I had been holding onto evaporated the moment I saw the look in my mother's eyes. It wasn't surprise. It wasn't joy for me. It was calculation. They sat me down at the kitchen table like they were calling a meeting. My father folded his hands and spoke in a calm, rehearsed tone, the one he used when he wanted to sound reasonable while delivering something cruel. My mother didn't waste time. She said my brother was in serious trouble again. Credit cards maxed out, loans unpaid, people calling the house. She said family helps family, and that this money was clearly meant to solve problems like this. She said my grandmother hadn't thought it through, and that they would manage the money responsibly. I reminded them gently that it was my gift. That grandma had been clear. My mother's face hardened immediately. She accused me of being selfish. My father said I was young and didn't understand real responsibility. They told me my brother had made mistakes, but he was struggling, and I was strong, capable, able to sacrifice. They said I could rebuild my future later, but if I didn't help now, I'd be the reason my brother's life collapsed. This wasn't the first time. My brother had always been the center of gravity in our family. His failures became emergencies. His debts became shared burdens. His recklessness was reframed as stress, pressure, bad luck. My achievements, on the other hand, were treated like expectations. I was supposed to cope. I was supposed to adjust. I was supposed to give. I said no. The word felt small when it left my mouth, but the silence that followed was enormous. My mother stared at me like she didn't recognize me. My father's voice rose, losing its practiced calm. They reminded me of everything they had done for me. The roof over my head, the food I ate, the sacrifices they claimed they had made. My brother sat there too, quiet for once, not apologetic, not ashamed, just waiting, as if the outcome was obvious. They told me if I didn't hand over the money, I was choosing money over family. They said my grandmother was being manipulated by my emotions. They said I was breaking the family apart. By the end of the night, the message was clear: stay and comply, or leave and be alone. I went to my room and packed a bag. Not dramatically, not loudly. I folded my clothes, picked up my documents, and took one last look around the space that had never truly felt like mine. No one stopped me. No one asked where I was going. When I walked out the door, it closed behind me without ceremony, without goodbye. I stayed with a friend at first, then a small rented room. I cried at night, mourning not just the family I had left, but the family I had never really had. My parents didn't call to ask if I was safe. They called to tell me I was being stubborn. My brother sent a message saying I was ruining everything. My grandmother was the only one who checked on me without conditions. When I told her what had happened, she squeezed my hand and told me she was proud of me. Life didn't magically become easy. I worked, saved, planned. I used the money carefully, exactly as it had been intended. I invested in my education. I moved to a better place. I built a life that didn't revolve around cleaning up someone else's mess. And slowly, quietly, something shifted inside me. I stopped waiting for permission. I stopped feeling guilty for choosing myself. Months later, the family crisis unfolded the way it always did. The money they demanded never materialized. My brother's debts didn't disappear. My parents were forced to face the reality they had avoided for years. There was no dramatic confrontation, no public apology, just distance, silence, consequences. The irony is that losing me didn't teach them compassion. It taught them discomfort, and that was something they had never learned to sit with before. I still think about that kitchen table sometimes, about how close I came to handing over my future just to keep the peace. Leaving wasn't loud. It wasn't revenge in the way people imagine it. It was quiet. It was choosing not to break myself anymore. And in the end, that choice changed everything.